All right, good morning, dear friends, to the Daniel S. Loeb Torah Center. This morning's breakfast class is sponsored by Emmanuel Zareh, dedicated in honor of the Breakfast King, Stephen Rappaport. Whatever that means. Okay, so we are in the new Parsha, and the Parsha is Re'eh, to see. The idea over here that's going to run through the entire Parsha is that there's something about the land of Israel that lets you see things more clearly. Not just the land of Israel, specifically Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim, said the rabbis. You're able to see things, shalem. Shalem doesn't mean just peace, it means complete, whole. There is a vision, a clarity of vision when it comes to brachot and lo aleinu klalot as well. Emmanuel, we just mentioned the fact you sponsored it for our Kohen, our resident Kohen, the Breakfast King. Okay, so the idea of a bracha and klala, which is the theme, is more manifest in the land of Israel. God's eyes are on the land of Israel, mireshit hashana ad achrit hashana, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. The land of Israel has a much higher level of hashgacha. Hashem's vision on the land of Israel is much, much greater. How do we increase our connection to the land? How do we increase our connection to Hashem in the land and even outside the land? That is the question which is always on our lips and in our minds. How do we see Hashem's hashgacha? So I'm going to tell you a little pasuk over here to explain it to you, and let's have a look at a couple of crazy stories that the Gemara says about this idea. So Mushraenu is talking to the Jewish people and says that here in the Midbar, in the desert, it's a little easier to see Hashem. The man came every day and fell at the doorsteps of the Jewish people. And the clouds surrounded the Jewish people every single day. And the fire was in front of them every single day. And the bear and Miriam, the water was with them every single day. They got to eat. And their clothes didn't get worn out. There were tremendous miracles. But when they entered into Israel, these miracles would not exist. You'd have to dig a little bit deeper to Re'eh, to see Hashem's connection, to see Hashem's hashgacha. Not easy. Not easy at all. There's always going to be hard work that comes with seeing Hashem's hand. So how do we see Hashem's hand operate? We have to, says the pasuk, open our hands. And the pasuk tells us, Ki fatoch tiftach ed yadcha. When you should surely, you must repeatedly, it's a double lashon, fatoch tiftach. You should surely and definitely open your hand. Who to? To the people who do not have with which that they need. Therefore, if you want to see Hashem's hand open to you, you have to open your hand to Hashem's children, which means to give tzedakah, or the highest level of tzedakah is to give a loan, to loan someone money without interest. That is asur min haTorah. So when we open our hands to other people, when we support charitable organizations, when we help the destitute, when we help the synagogue or the yeshiva or the cancer charity or Atzalah, whatever it is, when we open our hands, we are able to see Hashem open his hand as well. The Gemara tells us in Rabbi Batra a crazy story of Rabbi Papa. Rav Papa was climbing a ladder. And while he was stepping on the ladder, he slipped on one of the rungs. And he almost died from this dangerous incident. And this troubled him greatly. He wanted to understand, what has happened to me? Great tzaddikim, when things happen to them, they try to find a root cause. What caused this event to happen to me? Things don't happen randomly. Most of us, things happen to us like, yeah, whatever, I'll be more careful next time. You should be more careful next time. It's a mitzvah to be more careful, but you also have to see, what is Hashem allowing me to see from this incident? So in those days, they had great people like Rav Chia. So Rav Papa, who was a big gadol in of himself, he went to Rav Chia and said, why did this happen to me? And Rav Chia thought about it and said, maybe it's because perhaps a poor person came to you and you didn't give them tzedakah, You didn't give him charity when you could have. Very interesting statement. Because Rabbi Papa didn't give tzedakah, he put himself in a makom of sakana. Because he didn't open his hand, Hashem, as it were, didn't open his hand to protect him from this fall. Now that's a great level to understand. There's another incredible story on the converse of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was approached by an astrologer. And the astrologer approached Rabbi Akiva and said, I'm going to tell you something. Your daughter is going to die on her wedding day. That's what this astrologer told Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva pushed it aside. The day of his daughter's wedding came and went, and she survived. Rabbi Akiva was puzzled by this because an astrologer told him his daughter's going to die on her wedding day. And he went over to her and said, tell my daughter, did you do anything unusual on your wedding day? Anything stand out to you? And she said, no. I woke up, I got dressed, I was in my room getting dressed for the wedding. A poor person came to the door. I gave him some food that was in the kitchen. And then I went to the room, I did my hair, and I got married. Rabbi Akiva went into her room. And he saw where she was preparing her dress and her hair. And he saw that she had taken one of the pins out of her hair and placed it in the wall. He looked to the other side of the wall. He saw that the pin had penetrated the wall, had killed a venomous snake that potentially could have killed her at that moment. At that moment. And Rabbi Akiva spent the rest of his life saying, wow, look, this daughter of mine was meant to die on her wedding day. But Hashem saved her in the merit of tzedakah. In the merit of charity, he gave her the chance to live. And he spent the rest of his life. And many other times the Gemara talks about similar stories. One actually involved Rabbi Akiva as well, who when he went to visit one of the great tzaddikim who was sick, I can't remember his name, he went to visit him and he cleaned up for him and he visited him and he prayed for him. And the man said, Rabbi Akiva, you gave me life, you saved my life. Rabbi Akiva said, wow, you learn from this that saving a person's life who has become sick or who needs to be lifted up in their spirits and is like saving your life, and those who don't help such people with tzedakah, it's as though they have spilt blood. That, my friends, is the power of tzedakah. And that is why the Torah goes out of its way to repeat it, a double lashon. Patoach tiftach. You shall surely do it. And some people, say the rabbis, find it difficult to give tzedakah. The hand goes in the pocket. It's like a knife going into their heart. How can they give money they work so hard for and give it away? What you have to realize, says the rabbis, is that the money doesn't belong to you. It was deposited with you in order for you to be able to give it to other people. There's an incredible story of, I think, one of the Rothschilds. He lived in England, and he was approached by one of the newspapers, and the journalist asked him, tell me, what's your worth? What are you worth? So he thought about it, and he said, my worth is £5 million. And the journalist said, that's not true. Everyone in England knows you're worth way, way more than that. And he said, you asked me what I'm worth, not what I have. What I am worth is what I gave away in tzedakah this year. That's $5 million. How much do I own? That's another question. Okay, God has blessed you with a lot more than that. But your worth is not what you own. Your worth as a Jew is what you give away. That is a person's worth. Whatever you give away becomes your ultimate worth, because that is what you take with you into Olam Haba. There's a story of King Munbaz. King Munbaz was a king, I don't know if he was Jewish or became Jewish, but the story in the Gemara is told that he inherited a lot of money. And he started to give away his money to tzedakah. And his family, who had given him the money because he inherited a lot of it, became very upset with him. And they said, we took generations to acquire this wealth, and you're giving it away, King Munbaz. I think his mother actually converted, maybe before he was born, and once he converted too. Very interesting story, a big tzaddik. What? Yes, that's right. That's right. And so he ended up giving away all this money, gave it all away, and he said, you know what? You collected for this world, and you gave in this world. I collected in this world, but I'm giving away for the next world. He says, you have to watch your money and your treasures and your wealth in this world, the money I have is watching me. Because when I gave away tzedakah, the tzedakah is working to protect me and having a zchut to protecting me and my family. There is a protective quality that comes with giving tzedakah. And that is why the Rambam says, is it better to give 1,000 gold coins to one person or 1 gold coin to 1,000 people? That's the famous question. What's the answer? 1 gold coin to 1,000 people, says the Rambam. Why? Because the act of giving itself impacts the giver. So every time you give and you give and you give, you impact your neshama. So the giving tzedakah doesn't mean charity, it means justice. Tzedek. Right? You become more of a just person by giving. Every time you give, you actually improve yourself. So tzedakah is not just about the recipient, it's more about the giver, him or herself. That is the idea of patoch tiftach. You shall surely do it. For some people it's an easy mitzvah. For others it's more challenging, difficult. Whatever it is, it has a protective quality. And the zchut of giving it shall b'ezrat Hashem lead us to have the merit of being protected from all the other nations and Mashiach's coming b'ezrat Hashem and the wars that we are going through right now. Every bit of tzedakah protects every single Jew throughout the entire world. Have a great, successful day.